two banks. Same crime. One is headquartered in Zurich. One is headquartered in New York. Both manipulated the global interest rate that governs trillions of dollars in mortgages, student loans, credit cards, and business borrowing, a rate called BOR. Both knew it was fraud. Both did it for years. Here is what happened to them. The Swiss bank's traders were criminally prosecuted in multiple countries. Its CEO was hauled before regulators. The bank paid fines across 5 jurisdictions. 2 of its executives served prison time in the United Kingdom. The American bank paid a fine, agreed to a deferred prosecution, and its CEO received a $23 million compensation package the same year the settlement was announced. Same crime, different continent, completely different outcome. This is not an accident, and it happens more than you think. Welcome back to Guilty and Free. This is the video that answers the question every previous video in this series has raised. We have shown you American corporations that paid fines and walked free. We have shown you European governments that experimented on their citizens and were never prosecuted. But what happens when the same crime is committed on both sides of the Atlantic, and the two systems respond completely differently? What you find is not random variation. What you find is a pattern. Europe prosecutes, America settles. Europe jails, America fines. Europe bans, America warns. And in every case, the companies that operated on both continents knew exactly which side offered the better odds. They planned accordingly. Here are 7 cases where the same conduct produced outcomes so different that it is impossible to look at them side by side and call both systems justice. Case 1. LIBOR manipulation. Barclays versus Citigroup. LIBOR, the London Interbank Offered Rate, is the benchmark interest rate used to price an estimated $300 trillion in financial contracts worldwide. It affects your mortgage, your student loan, your credit card, every adjustable rate financial product you have ever held. Between 2005 and 2012, traders at multiple major banks across America and Europe colluded to manipulate LIBOR submissions, artificially moving the rate up or down to benefit their own trading positions. This was coordinated fraud on a global scale. The responses on either side of the Atlantic were not the same. In the United Kingdom, the Serious Fraud Office prosecuted individual traders. Multiple people went to prison. Tom Hayes, a former UBS and Citigroup trader, was convicted and sentenced to 14 years, later reduced to 11 on appeal. Others followed. In the United States, the Department of Justice pursued deferred prosecution agreements with the banks themselves. Citigroup paid $925 million across various regulators. Barclays which has significant U.S. operations, paid $453 million to American regulators. No American banker was criminally prosecuted for LIBOR manipulation. Not one. Tom Hayes, who worked for an American bank, was prosecuted in Britain. He served 5.5 years. His American colleagues faced no criminal charges. Same trading floor, same fraud, different passport, different outcome. Case 2. Big Tech. Google in Europe versus Google in America. Google has been found by the European Commission to have abused its dominant market position on 3 separate occasions. In 2017, 2.42 billion euros fine for favoring its own shopping service in search results. In 2018, 4.34 billion euros fine, the largest in EU competition law history at the time, for illegal restrictions on Android device manufacturers. In 2019, 1.49 billion euros fine for abusing its dominance in online advertising. Total EU fines against Google, over 8 billion euros. In the United States, Google faced antitrust scrutiny for years. In 2024, a federal judge ruled that Google had illegally maintained a monopoly in the search market, the first major antitrust ruling against a U.S. tech giant in decades. The penalty phase has not concluded. Google's proposed remedy, as of the most recent proceedings, does not include breaking up the company. The EU fined Google more in 3 decisions than the United States has collected from any tech company in its entire history of antitrust enforcement. Google's global revenue in 2023 was $307 billion. The 8 billion euros in EU fines represents approximately 10 days of revenue. The American enforcement, by comparison, has produced no fines and no structural remedies after years of investigation. Europe fined the same company 8 billion euros. America is still writing the report. Case 3. Food safety. What Europe banned that America still sells. This case is not about a single company. It is about a category of conduct so normalized in America that most people do not realize it is illegal everywhere else. Ractopamine is a drug fed to pigs and cattle in the United States to accelerate muscle growth before slaughter. It reduces fat and increases yield. It has been shown in studies to cause elevated heart rates, trembling, and hyperactivity in animals. It is banned in 160 countries, including the entire European Union, including China, including Russia. It is legal and widely used in the United States. Brominated vegetable oil, used in some American citrus drinks as an emulsifier, is banned in Europe, Japan, and India due to links to neurological damage in high doses. It remained in some American products until 2024, when the FDA finally moved to ban it, following a petition that had been filed years earlier. Potassium bromate, a flour additive used to improve bread texture, is banned in the EU, China, Canada, and Brazil due to links to kidney damage and cancer in animal studies. It remains legal in the United States. Red dye number 3, used in American candies, maraschino cherries, and food products, was banned by the FDA in cosmetics in 1990 after it was found to cause cancer in male rats. It remained legal in food until January 2025. 35 years after the FDA banned it in lipstick, it was still in your children's candy. Not one American food executive has been prosecuted for any of this. The European food companies that sold into America without these additives are not in court. The American companies that used them while knowing they were banned in every comparable country are not in court either. Case 4. Pharmaceutical pricing. The insulin case. Insulin has been available as a treatment for type 1 diabetes since the 1920s. The original patent was sold by its inventors to the University of Toronto for $1 because they believed that a life-saving medicine should be accessible to everyone who needed it. In the United States in 2023, the list price of a single vial of insulin from the 3 dominant manufacturers, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi, ranged from $275 to $300. In Germany, the same vial costs approximately $7. In France, approximately $9. In Canada, approximately $12. Americans were paying up to 40 times more for the same product, from the same companies, covered by patents that had long expired. The manufacturers justified the prices through a system of rebates, pharmacy benefit managers, and insurance structures so deliberately complex that no individual patient could untangle why they were paying what they were paying. People were rationing insulin. People were dying because they could not afford the drug. The European response was price regulation. Governments negotiated directly with manufacturers and set maximum prices. The American response, until 2023, was nothing. In 2023, under the Inflation Reduction Act, Medicare was finally permitted to negotiate some drug prices for the first time in its history, a right that every comparable country in the world had exercised for decades. The pharmaceutical industry spent over $370 million lobbying against this provision. No pharmaceutical executive has been prosecuted for pricing conduct in America. In Europe, pricing is not left to the market. In America, it is. The difference is measured in lives. Case 5. Data privacy. Meta in Europe versus Meta in America. In 2023, Meta was fined €1.2 billion by Ireland's Data Protection Commission, the largest GDPR fine in history, for transferring European user data to the United States in violation of EU data protection law. In 2022, Meta was fined €265 million for a data breach that exposed the personal information of over 500 million users. In 2019, Meta was fined €50 million in France for failing to obtain proper user consent for data processing. Total EU and UK fines against Meta for data privacy violations: over €2 billion and rising. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission fined Meta $5 billion in 2019 for privacy violations related to the Cambridge Analytica scandal. $5 billion sounds larger. But consider this. The FTC fine came with no admission of wrongdoing, no structural changes to Meta's business model, and no individual accountability for any executive. It was, in the words of one FTC commissioner who dissented from the settlement, get-out-of-jail-free card that gave Meta regulatory cover to continue the same behavior. The European fines have come with mandatory operational changes, data transfer restrictions, and ongoing supervisory oversight. Mark Zuckerberg has testified before the US Congress multiple times. He has never been charged. He has never been fined personally. His net worth is approximately $170 billion. Case 6. Banking Regulation, RBS in Scotland versus Lehman in New York. When the Royal Bank of Scotland collapsed in 2008 and required a £45 billion government bailout, the largest bank bailout in British history, the UK government did something America did not. It took an 84% ownership stake in the bank. It installed new management. It launched a formal inquiry. The Financial Services Authority produced a report identifying the specific decisions and specific individuals responsible for the collapse. 4 former RBS executives were banned from working in financial services. The CEO, Fred Goodwin, was stripped of his knighthood. He did not go to prison. But his professional reputation was formally destroyed by a public regulatory process that named him, documented his failures, and barred him from the industry. In the United States, when Lehman Brothers collapsed with $613 billion in debt, the government did not take an ownership stake. It let the bank fail, then bailed out every institution connected to it. No senior Lehman executive was banned from financial services. Richard Fuld, as previously noted, is still a licensed securities dealer. Fred Goodwin lost his knighthood and his career. Richard Fuld lost nothing. Same collapse, different country, completely different accountability. Case 7. Environmental crime. Volkswagen in Germany versus America. We have covered the Volkswagen emissions fraud in this series. But the comparison between the American and European responses to the same crime reveals something that the individual case does not. In the United States, Volkswagen pleaded guilty, paid $14.7 billion, compensated vehicle owners, and funded an environmental remediation trust. The American response was financial, and by the standards of this series, it was actually one of the more aggressive enforcement actions taken against a foreign corporation. In Germany, where Volkswagen is headquartered, where the fraud was designed, and where the executives who authorized it still live, the criminal process has moved at a profoundly different pace. Martin Winterkorn, the CEO who presided over the fraud, was charged in Germany in 2019. His trial began in September 2024, 9 years after the fraud was exposed. He has not been convicted. He continues to receive a pension from Volkswagen of approximately $3,200 per day. The fraud that Volkswagen committed in America was punished more aggressively by America than by the country where the fraud was planned. The executives who designed it remain, for the most part, at home. 7 cases, the same companies, the same conduct, 2 systems. The difference is not about values. Both America and Europe claim to believe in accountability. Both have laws against fraud, against market manipulation, against consumer harm. The difference is structural. Europe has regulators with independent enforcement power and a political culture that treats corporate fines as genuinely punitive, sized as a percentage of global revenue, not as a fixed sum. America has a system where enforcement is shaped by systemic risk calculations, lobbying influence, revolving door relationships between regulators and the industries they regulate, and a Department of Justice that has, in practice, decided that prosecuting large financial institutions is too dangerous to attempt. This is not about which continent is more moral. It is about which system has built the structures that make accountability possible. Europe has some of them. America has systematically dismantled them. And the companies that operate on both continents, they know this. They plan for it. The American operation takes the risks. The European operation takes the compliance budget. And when the fine comes, it comes in America. It gets paid, and everyone goes back to work. This is guilty and free. Same crime, different continent, different outcome. Every time. Subscribe. New video every week. The next video asks the question this one leads to. If Europe can do this, why can't America? They got away with it because they knew where to do it.